Did you know that there are places on Earth so remote and unreachable that no one has ever returned from them? Some of these locations are as mysterious as they are dangerous, leaving countless questions about what lies within. How do these places stay hidden, and what happens to those who dare to venture too far? Join us as we journey through the most isolated, forbidden corners of the Earth and unravel the secrets that make them untouchable. Snake Island. Snake Island, officially known as Ilha da Queimada Grande, is one of the most dangerous places on Earth.
Not surprisingly, it's known as Snake Island, and it's probably the most dangerous place on the planet.
It's a small island off the coast of Brazil, though it remains uninhabited. The reason? The island is home to thousands of golden lancehead vipers, one of the most venomous snakes in the world. Their venom is so powerful that it can cause severe tissue damage. Because of the extreme danger, the Brazilian government has banned people from visiting Snake Island. Only scientists and researchers with special permission are allowed to go there. They study the snakes to learn more about their venom, which may have medical uses. Despite the risks, these researchers continue to explore the island under strict safety precautions. There is also a famous legend about Snake Island. Many years ago, a lighthouse keeper and his family were living on the island. According to the story, one night, snakes slithered into their home through the windows. The family tried to escape, but didn't make it. Their deaths were so terrifying that the Brazilian authorities later removed the lighthouse keepers and made the island off-limits. Devon Island. Devon Island, located in the Canadian Arctic, is the largest uninhabited island on Earth. It covers about 21,000 square miles, yet no one permanently lives there. The conditions are simply too extreme. The island is cold, dry, and rocky, with temperatures dropping as low as -58 degrees Fahrenheit in winter. There are no trees, no towns, and very little wildlife. It is one of the harshest places on the planet. One of the most interesting features of Devon Island is the Horton Impact Crater. This massive crater, about 14 miles wide, was formed when a meteorite crashed into the island around 39 million years ago. The impact was so powerful that it changed the landscape, leaving behind cracked rocks and deep valleys. Scientists study this crater to learn more about meteorite strikes and how they affect planets. Because of its dry, rocky terrain and freezing temperatures, Devon Island is often compared to Mars. In fact, NASA uses it as a testing site for future Mars missions. The agency has been running the Horton Mars project here since 1997. Scientists and engineers come to Devon Island to test spacesuits, rovers, and other equipment that could be used on Mars. They also study how humans might survive in such an extreme environment. Heard and McDonald Islands. Heard Island and the McDonald Islands are some of the most remote places on Earth. These islands sit in the southern Indian Ocean, far from any human civilization. They are part of Australian territory, but no one lives there because of the extreme weather and harsh environment. The islands are covered in glaciers, surrounded by rough seas, and constantly battered by strong winds. It is almost always cold, with temperatures rarely rising above freezing. Because of this, very few people ever visit. Only scientists and occasional research expeditions make the journey to study the unique wildlife and landscape. One of the most fascinating things about Heard Island is that it has Australia's only active volcano, Mawson Peak. This massive volcano, standing over 9,000 feet tall, is often covered in ice, but it still erupts from time to time. Scientists have observed lava flows and volcanic activity, even though very few people have ever seen the volcano up close. Despite the extreme conditions, life still manages to survive here. The islands are home to seals, penguins, and seabirds that thrive in the cold. The surrounding waters are rich with marine life, making them an important area for conservation. Sarisarinama. Sarisarinama is a mysterious mountain deep in the jungles of Venezuela. It is not like regular mountains because it has a flat top instead of a peak. This type of mountain is called a tepui, and Sarisarinama is one of the most remote and unexplored places in the world. What makes Sarisarinama truly special are the massive sinkholes on its surface. These giant holes are over 1,000 feet deep and look like they appeared out of nowhere. Each sinkhole has its own unique environment, almost like a hidden world inside the mountain. Scientists believe that because these sinkholes have been isolated for so long, they may contain plants and animals that exist nowhere else on Earth. For a long time, only the local Yanomami people knew about Sarisarinama. They consider it a sacred place and have many stories about its deep, mysterious holes. Scientists only learned about it in the 1970s, and even now, very few people have ever visited the mountain. Because Sarisarinama is so hard to reach, much of it remains unexplored. Researchers are still trying to understand how these sinkholes formed and what unique life exists inside them. North Sentinel Island? North Sentinel Island is a small remote island in the Bay of Bengal, covering just 31 square miles. It is home to the Sentinelese, one of the last uncontacted tribes in the world. For over 60,000 years, they have lived in complete isolation, rejecting all attempts at contact with the outside world. Unlike most other indigenous groups, they have never integrated into modern society and continue to live as their ancestors did. The Indian government has made it illegal for outsiders to visit the island. This decision was made to protect both the Sentinelese and potential visitors. The tribe has a history of reacting aggressively to anyone who tries to approach their land. Over the years, fishermen, researchers, and even government officials have been met with hostility. The Sentinelese are extremely protective of their home and way of life, and they do not welcome strangers. In 2018, an American missionary named John Allen Chow attempted to make contact with the tribe. Despite repeated warnings, he illegally traveled to the island, hoping to spread Christianity. The Sentinelese reacted as they always have. They saw him as a threat and killed him. This tragic event reinforced the importance of respecting their desire to remain isolated. The Sentinelese continue to live without modern technology, electricity, or outside influence. They rely on hunting, fishing, and gathering to survive, just as they have for thousands of years. Valdo Javari. Valdo Javari is one of the most isolated regions on Earth. Located deep in the Amazon rainforest in Brazil, it covers about 33,000 square miles, making it one of the largest protected indigenous territories in the world. What makes this place truly special is that it is home to more uncontacted tribes than anywhere else on the planet. Over 10 different groups live here, continuing their ancient way of life without outside interference. These tribes have little to no contact with the modern world. They hunt, fish, and gather food from the forest, just as their ancestors have done for thousands of years. They do not use modern technology and prefer to remain separate from the outside world. Their survival depends on the rainforest, and because of this, they avoid outsiders who might bring diseases or disrupt their way of life. Despite being a protected area, Valdo Javari faces serious threats. Illegal loggers and miners enter the region, cutting down trees and polluting rivers. These activities put the tribes at risk by destroying their land and bringing in dangers they were not prepared for. The Brazilian government has strict rules to protect the tribes and their land. Authorities monitor the area, trying to keep outsiders away. However, challenges remain, and protecting these last uncontacted tribes is a constant struggle. Valdo Javari is one of the last places on Earth where indigenous cultures exist untouched. La Rinconada. La Rinconada, located high in the Peruvian Andes at an astonishing altitude of 16,700 feet, holds the title of the highest permanent settlement in the world. At this extreme height, the town faces harsh living conditions that are nearly unimaginable. The thin air makes breathing difficult, and residents constantly struggle with low oxygen levels, even affecting the healthiest people. Sanitation is a major issue in La Rinconada, as there is no proper waste disposal system. The streets are filled with garbage and human waste, and access to clean water is limited. The lack of sanitation, along with the high altitude, has led to a higher prevalence of diseases like tuberculosis and mercury poisoning, which are common in mining areas due to the use of toxic chemicals in gold extraction. Despite the dangerous conditions, La Rinconada has attracted many miners over the years who come in search of gold. Each year, people flock to the town from all over Peru, hoping to strike it rich. However, the mining work is risky, with cave-ins, explosions, and exposure to harmful chemicals. Most miners live in makeshift homes, without basic necessities or healthcare, and the rewards are often minimal. Yet for many, the possibility of wealth outweighs the dangers, and the town continues to thrive in its challenging environment. Surtsey Island. Surtsey Island is one of the youngest islands on Earth. It was formed in 1963 when an underwater volcano erupted off the coast of Iceland. Over the course of 4 years, lava, ash, and rock piled up, creating a new landmass in the middle of the ocean. By 1967, the eruption stopped, and the island was officially named Surtsey, after a fire giant from Norse mythology. Since its birth, Surtsey has been like a giant outdoor laboratory for scientists. It gives them a rare chance to study how life appears on a completely new piece of land. The island was nothing but bare rock in the beginning, but over time, nature started taking over. The first forms of life were mosses and lichens, tiny plants that can survive in harsh conditions. Then came insects, which were carried by the wind. Birds eventually arrived, using the island as a nesting ground. Seeds from other places washed up on the shore, and soon, more plants started growing. To keep Surtsey's ecosystem as natural as possible, people are not allowed to live there. Even scientists can only visit under strict rules, and they have to be careful not to bring anything from the outside world. This helps researchers see exactly how nature develops without human interference. Danakil Depression. The Danakil Depression in Ethiopia is one of the most extreme places on Earth. It is known for its scorching heat, with temperatures often rising above 120 degrees Fahrenheit. This makes it one of the hottest inhabited places in the world. The landscape is harsh and unforgiving, filled with bubbling lava lakes, vast salt flats, and acidic sulfur springs. The ground is covered in strange, colorful mineral deposits due to the high concentration of chemicals in the water and soil. Despite these extreme conditions, life still manages to survive here. Scientists have discovered tiny organisms called microbes living in hot springs. These tiny life forms are able to withstand extreme heat, high acidity, and toxic chemicals. This makes the Danakil Depression an important place for scientific research. Scientists study the microbes here to understand how life might exist on other planets with harsh conditions, like Mars or Venus. Another fascinating feature of the Danakil Depression is its connection to the movement of Earth's tectonic plates. This region sits at the meeting point of 3 plates, which are slowly pulling apart. As a result, new land is constantly forming, and volcanic activity is common. The famous Erta Ale volcano, one of the world's few continuously active lava lakes, is located here. Mariana Trench. The Mariana Trench is the deepest part of the world's oceans, reaching a staggering depth of 36,000 feet. To put that into perspective, it's deeper than Mount Everest is tall. This makes the trench the lowest point on Earth, located in the western Pacific Ocean, east of the Mariana Islands. One of the most interesting things about the trench is the extreme conditions. At its deepest point, the pressure is over 1,000 times greater than the pressure we feel on the Earth's surface. This intense pressure would crush most submarines or equipment designed for exploration. Yet, despite these harsh conditions, life thrives in the trench. The creatures living in the Mariana Trench are uniquely adapted to survive in complete darkness, freezing temperatures, and immense pressure. Species like the Mariana snailfish and giant amoebas are just a few examples of life that have evolved to withstand these extreme conditions. These organisms are often small and resilient, able to endure the challenges of their environment. While still largely unexplored, there have been several successful deep dives into the trench. One of the most famous explorers, James Cameron, made a solo trip to the bottom in 2012, bringing back valuable data about the area. Because of its inaccessibility and the harsh conditions, the Mariana Trench remains one of the least understood places on Earth, offering mysteries that scientists continue to explore. Pitcairn Islands. The Pitcairn Islands are one of the most remote places on Earth. They are located in the South Pacific and are home to only about 50 people. These islands are a British overseas territory, but they are far from the modern world. There is no airport and supplies arrive by boat only a few times a year. Life here is simple and quiet, with no large businesses, traffic, or crowds. The people living on Pitcairn Island today are descendants of the HMS Bounty mutineers and their Polynesian companions. In 1790, a group of sailors led by Fletcher Christian rebelled against their captain William Bligh and took over the ship. They sailed to Pitcairn Island and decided to stay, burning the Bounty to avoid being found. Over time, their families grew, and the island remained hidden from the outside world for many years. While Pitcairn might seem like a peaceful paradise, its history is filled with dark events. The first settlers struggled with violence, disease, and limited resources. More recently, the island gained attention for serious legal troubles involving some of its residents. These events have made life even more challenging for the tiny community. Visitors are rare here, but those who do come see a place where history still lives, far away from the fast-paced modern world. Mount Namuli. Mount Namuli, located in northern Mozambique, is the second highest peak in the country, towering at 7,940 feet. For many years, its misty peaks and dense forests remained largely unexplored, making it one of the country's last undiscovered wildernesses. This inaccessibility helped preserve the mountain's natural beauty and biodiversity, which only began to be understood after recent scientific expeditions. The mountain is home to a wide variety of ecosystems. At lower altitudes, lush rainforests thrive, teeming with life, while higher up, the landscape changes to rocky grasslands and scrubby terrains. These diverse environments make Mount Namuli a unique place, where different types of flora and fauna can coexist in close proximity. One of the most exciting discoveries on Mount Namuli is the presence of endemic species, organisms that are found nowhere else on Earth. For example, the Nomel apollis, a tiny bird, is only found on this mountain. This makes Mount Namuli an important location for conservation efforts, as the species living here are highly specialized to the specific conditions of the mountain. Adak. Adak, Alaska, is a small island located in the Bering Sea, known for its fascinating history and eerie presence. During World War II and the Cold War, Adak was a thriving military outpost. It served as a strategic location for the US Navy, with bases that housed thousands of soldiers. The island was an important site for monitoring Soviet activity during the Cold War. Over the years, military personnel built airstrips, barracks, and other facilities to support their missions. However, after the Cold War ended, the military began to scale down its operations, and by the 1990s, most of the base was shut down. Today, Adak is a ghost town. The once bustling buildings now sit empty, and the few people who remain on the island live in a near-deserted community. Only about 100 people live there now, a far cry from the thousands who once called it home. The weather in Adak is harsh, with extreme winds, cold temperatures, and long periods of darkness during the winter months. The abandoned military buildings, combined with the constant, eerie silence, give the town a ghostly feel. Adak remains one of the last American frontiers, a place where history and nature collide in an unforgiving environment. For those who live there, it's a unique and challenging existence, shaped by the island's past and its difficult surroundings. Villa Las Estrellas. Villa Las Estrellas is one of only 2 civilian settlements in Antarctica, making it a unique place to live. Located on King George Island just off the Antarctic Peninsula, it is a research base with a fluctuating population that ranges between 80 and 150 people. These residents are mostly scientists and their families, and they stay there for long periods of time, sometimes enduring months of isolation. Living in Villa Las Estrellas means dealing with extreme conditions. The cold can be unbearable, with temperatures dropping well below freezing for most of the year. The settlement experiences long periods of darkness in winter, with the sun not rising for several months. In the summer, the days are long, but even then, the cold remains a constant challenge. The weather is harsh, and supplies are limited, so people rely on regular shipments for necessities. Before moving to Villa Las Estrellas, people must undergo a medical procedure, the surgical removal of their appendix. This precaution is taken because, in case of an emergency, getting to a hospital for treatment could take weeks. The isolation and extreme conditions make it a tough place to live. But for those who choose to call it home, it's a chance to contribute to scientific research in one of the most remote places on Earth. Palmerston Island. Palmerston Island is a small, remote island in the Cook Islands, located in the South Pacific. It has a very unique population of just 58 people, all of whom are descendants of one man, William Masters. Masters, a British man, settled on the island in the 1860s and had children with 3 different Polynesian women. His descendants have lived on the island ever since, forming a tight-knit, isolated community. The island is very basic and lacks modern infrastructure. There are no stores, cars, or typical amenities you'd find in more developed places. Instead, the islanders rely on each other for everything they need, from food to shelter. Their main connection to the outside world is a supply ship that arrives only twice a year, bringing essentials like food, medicine, and other goods. The limited contact with the outside world has helped maintain their unique way of life, but also left them vulnerable to challenges. Because of its isolation and small population, Palmerston Island is one of the most genetically isolated communities on Earth. The islanders are highly related, and this close family connection has led to a number of genetic issues over time. Despite these challenges, the islanders have managed to maintain their culture and way of life, living in harmony with their environment. Tristan da Cunha. Tristan da Cunha is one of the most remote inhabited islands in the world, located in the South Atlantic Ocean. It sits more than 1,700 miles away from the nearest continent, which is South Africa. This small island is home to only about 250 people, making it one of the least populated places on Earth. The island has no airport, and because of its isolation, there are only 9 boat trips to and from Tristan da Cunha each year. This makes travel to the island extremely difficult and rare. Despite its isolation, the island has a tight-knit community. The people who live there have created a unique way of life, shaped by the harsh conditions and limited resources available. The residents rely on fishing and small-scale farming to survive, and the island is governed by the United Kingdom, even though it is far from mainland Britain. Tristan da Cunha is known for its unique wildlife, including the Tristan albatross, a large seabird that nests on the island. The island's rugged terrain and isolation make it a special habitat for various bird species and marine life. The surrounding waters are also rich in fish, making them a prime location for fishing. Though life on Tristan da Cunha is far from easy, the community has managed to thrive in one of the most remote corners of the world. Medog. Medog, a hidden valley in Tibet, was once one of the most inaccessible places in China, but has become more accessible since 2013. This remote valley is considered sacred by the local Tibetan people, who believe it has been blessed by Buddha. The area holds great spiritual significance, and many Tibetans regard it as a special, holy place. Beyond its spiritual importance, Medog is also known for its rich biodiversity. The valley is home to unique plants that aren't found anywhere else, making it a fascinating spot for researchers. The area also hosts rare bird species, which attract birdwatchers and conservationists from around the world. The combination of natural beauty and rare wildlife makes Medog a truly special location. Cape Melville. Cape Melville is a remote and isolated peninsula located in northeastern Australia, at the edge of the Great Barrier Reef. It is part of the Cape Melville National Park, which is known for its rugged terrain and dense rainforest. This area is so hard to access that it was essentially hidden from the outside world for centuries. To reach Cape Melville, explorers must navigate rough, sometimes impassable roads, making it one of the more difficult places to visit in Australia. The remoteness of Cape Melville helped preserve its unique biodiversity. For years, its thick forests and towering granite boulders kept the region hidden. As a result, the area remained largely untouched by human activity, allowing nature to thrive undisturbed. This isolation helped protect many species that might otherwise have been affected by development or human interference. Cape York. Cape York is one of the most remote and wild places in Australia, located at the northern tip of the continent. It's a place of untamed wilderness with a rich cultural history and stunning natural beauty. For thousands of years, it has been home to various Aboriginal groups who have lived in harmony with the land. The area holds significant cultural importance, with many ancient sites that reflect the deep connection these people have with the land and sea. Reaching Cape York can be a challenge, as it is mostly accessible by 4x4 vehicles or planes. There are no large cities or towns nearby, so visitors must be prepared for the rugged and isolated conditions. It is a place where nature still rules and modern development is minimal. The landscape of Cape York is diverse and captivating. It is home to lush rainforests, vast mangroves, and wild coastlines that stretch for miles. The region is known for its rich biodiversity, with a variety of plants and animals that thrive in its untouched environment. Cape York remains a largely unexplored area, keeping its natural beauty and Aboriginal heritage intact. Son Doong. Son Doong, located in Vietnam's Phong Nha Ke Bang National Park, holds the title of the world's largest cave. Discovered in 1991 by a local farmer, the cave remained a secret until it was officially explored in 2009. At over 3 miles long, with ceilings reaching up to 660 feet high, Son Doong is truly a natural marvel. Its size and scale are so immense that entire skyscrapers could fit inside its vast chambers. One of the cave's most fascinating features is its underground rivers, which carve their way through the rock. These rivers flow through caverns large enough to swallow entire valleys, adding to the mystery and grandeur of the cave system. Son Doong also houses towering stalagmites which rise like giants from the cave floor, and unusual ecosystems that thrive in total darkness. Some of these ecosystems even have their own weather patterns. with mist and clouds forming inside. For years, Hang Son Doong was known only to locals, who used it as a hiding place. It wasn't until 2009 that a team of British explorers ventured deep inside, revealing its hidden beauty. Due to its remote location and fragile environment, only a few hundred people are allowed to visit each year. The limited accessibility ensures that this extraordinary place remains protected while still allowing people to experience its grandeur firsthand. If you enjoyed discovering these fascinating and remote locations, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing travel destinations and hidden wonders from around the world. Let us know in the comments which isolated place caught your attention the most. See you in the next video.